What's up, people? What is up with you all? I hope you all are having a great start to your weekend. This is cherry blossom season for my cherry blossom fans. So, tonight we're talking about Northern Virginia market. What is wrong with it? What is going on with it? Today we have a nice little live stream for you, just to show you some of the topics we're going to be talking about today. So what can you do, right? You're probably thinking to yourself right now, what can I possibly do? I'm thinking about buying a house, or maybe you're in the market right now. We have a couple clients, handful of clients, maybe two handful of clients right now that are in the market right now, and they are stressed. They're challenged with what is going on with the market, and they're asking themselves, like, what can I do? You've probably seen a lot of reports on the news, different news outlets about the state of the real estate market. There's actually a story that just came out today by a local news station, talks about the housing supply and the domino effect. So this article says housing supply has created a domino effect regionally and beyond. Lack of inventory is driving sellers to be cautious about selling, since they need to make sure they have a place to move before they put their house on the market, which is exacerbating, love that word, housing availability and fueling the frenzy. In February, there were fewer than 900 homes for sale in Northern Virginia and in the region, compared to almost 1,600 in February 2021. Another thing that's noteworthy is they say, as the historically low inventory is driving up prices, dramatically rising mortgage rates could also create challenges for buyers who want to purchase a home. So again, we go back to, what can you do, right? You have this information, this data is coming at you saying that housing prices are rising, interest rates are rising, there's no inventory, there's a lot of competition. Before we kind of talk about the strategies, I want to go over some numbers with you, right? And I know that these numbers are going to be a little a little depressing, but I just want to kind of go over them with you. This is March numbers. No one has this data. No one on the interwebs yet has this data for Northern Virginia. But 66% of homes in March that have closed in March, so from March 1st to now, which is today's the 25th, anything that's been recorded in the MLS, 66% of homes are selling over the asking price in Northern Virginia. That's right. Almost 7 out of 10 homes, right? The highest price over asking price that someone has paid this month in our closings, $715,000. Now, that's on the extreme end of things. As far as the property type, right? Because different people and different property types have different problems. Single family homes, 71% of houses are selling over asking price, 77% for townhouses, and only 48% of condos. In Alexandria, this is the average price over asking price that people are paying right now. Alexandria, you have in Alexandria City, 36,000, Arlington, 50,000, Fairfax County, 51,000, and then Prince William County, 29,000. So we get back to the same question: what can you do with those numbers, right? Let's say, for instance, you don't have enough cash, right? You don't have 36,000 to purchase a house in city of Alexandria, right? You don't have $50,000 to go up against somebody in Arlington, right? What is the next best thing for you? Well, you have to keep in mind, and this is where you're going to have to be realistic or honest with yourself about your ability to compete with the other buyers in the market. This is a competitive market where you're competing against other individuals for a rare product. And real estate is not a right. right? It is a luxury item. It is still a luxury purchase. There are rental properties, there's condos available. I mean, there's apartments available. So if you're coming into the real estate market, you have to know, okay, great. What is my competition doing? We see from the data exactly what they're doing in the different markets. And now it's trying to be honest with yourself, right? Can you compete against those individuals? If you can't compete, right? If you can't compete, if you're telling yourself, Abraham, I don't have $36,000 or I don't have $50,000 to make this purchase, right? I don't, like, what am I supposed to do? I still want to purchase a property, but what am I supposed to do next? Well, let's talk about that. The first strategy you should look into, and we've been walking our clients through this strategy, is really something we call just the 8-day strategy, right? Houses in Northern Virginia come on the market on Thursdays. They come on the market predominantly on Thursdays. The goal is on day, if we say Thursday is day 1, the goal is for the seller in most situations to review offers on Monday or Tuesday of the following week. So that's day 5 or day 6, right? And with this 8-day strategy, what we're looking to do is we're looking to place offers on properties on day 7 or day 8. The reason why we call it day 8, the 8-day strategy, is because you don't want the house to make it through the next weekend, that second weekend. Houses that sell on day 7, day 8, right? Even possibly day 9 are usually going to be selling at the asking price, right? There's no competition. It made it through that first weekend. There's already low inventory. So almost everyone has seen the property that is shopping for a property right now, but maybe it doesn't curl all the way, right? Maybe this is the ugly duckling. Maybe this is a property that has some type of smell. Maybe this property has a layout that's inferior to other properties, or kid you not, because the market is going so crazy right now, we're starting to see some sellers actually come on the market super aggressive, right? Like $50,000, $100,000 over what the comps in the neighborhood suggest. And what these sellers are really doing is they're looking at the same data you and I are looking at, and they're saying, like I just shared with you, somebody paid $700,000 over the asking price for a property. I want some of that. That's what sellers are saying right now. So if that person comes on the market on day 1 with that aggressive offer or that aggressive asking price, then it's very likely that they're going to make it all the way through the first week with no offers. This is the time when you pounce, right? 66% of all transactions in Northern Virginia in the month of March so far have sold above asking price. So that means that you only have access to 34% of the properties, right? So 3 out of 10 properties are going to make it past that first weekend. Those are the properties, if you don't have the budget, right? Those are the properties that you jump on first, right? So that's the 8-day strategy. What's next? When you are making offers, right? We're coaching our clients through this process right now. We're no longer using the methods of last year when we're thinking about comparable sales or doing our market analysis, right? So traditionally what happens is you go to see a property. You say, oh, you know what? I'm in the property. I love the property. Abraham, run the comps for me. Or Abraham, can you run the analysis for me to tell me what is a good price to make, or a good offer to make on this particular property, right? That's the old school method. That's where we take past data. We take information from maybe the past 90 days, sometimes the past 6 months, and we're trying to figure out, based on what other properties have sold for that are similar to the subject property, right? So the subject property is a property that you're interested in. What are those comparable sales saying about the property, right? About the value. We still do that. I still suggest that you do that, but there's another step that you should be taking. So the new school method of pricing now is actually to look at the last 30 days, right? So what you're going to do is you're actually going to look at the last 30 days of transactions that occurred in or around the subject property, regardless of whether or not it's similar or not. And so this is the methodology, or this is the reason behind this. Buyers agents or buyers are all kind of they're using the same or similar strategy. So what we can do is, or what we can expect to happen is that in the last 30 days, these are the most successful buyers, agents, and buyers in the market. And so now what we want to do is we want to mimic what they have done to get to the finish line. And so if we see so we have a good case in point. We have a client making an offer right now on a property. It's listed for $750,000, and the comps say that the property is overpriced, right? Because in the old school method, we're going 90 days back in time to see what properties are sold for. There weren't really that many sales in that particular community, so we had to go back a little bit further in time. And so the comps, the old school method, says that this property isn't worth the list price. But with the new school method, what we're seeing, and for this particular property, is that people are paying $50,000 over asking price, sometimes $75,000 over asking price, because this is a single family home that I'm talking about in this particular scenario. So now what you want to do, if you're going to win, right? Because the goal is to win the property that you're interested in. If the goal is to win, you want to take a snapshot of what has happened in the last 30 days, okay? Around the subject property, no matter what other properties are around there, it doesn't matter. You have to get your head in the game that everything changed January 15th. For some reason, there's no more games being played since January 15th of this year. And so since we're playing a new game, you have to update the programming, right? You have to update the way you see the market. And you can't look at stats from November, December. It's useless. That information is useless. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Abraham, but what about the appraisal, right? What is the appraiser going to say? Hey, the appraisers also have a challenging time dealing with this market right now, because if you're a listing agent, right? So let's say, for instance, I'm representing the seller, and I get 30 offers on a listing, right? Which is reasonable. I get 30 offers on a listing, and all of the offers are over the asking price. What would the appraisal say? What can the appraiser say about a property that has that much demand for people paying that much over the asking price? Obviously the price of the property has changed. The value of the asset has changed. The appraisers are trying to keep up with the market, right? The appraisers are trying to price ahead of the market slightly, because the banks don't want to get caught with the last basket, right? They don't want. The banks are cautious right now because if the market dips or tanks or drops or falls or crashes, whatever. If the market does anything like that, the banks are going to be the one who suffers. Yeah, sure, you may lose your one house, but a bank has made several loans in a period of time. So there's a lot at stake for them, especially when you consider that most people in Northern Virginia are only putting down like 11% on a property. So that means that the bank's position, and the bank, I'm just talking about them like an entity. The bank's position is really 89% of all transactions are leveraged by a bank. So you see how the appraisal is there to protect them. But the banks want to make money. They only make money off of closed loans. So they want these appraisals to go through. But you got to stop thinking old school method, right? Old school method is, I only want to make an offer on this property because of the past sales that are similar to this property. New school method of thinking is, let me see what the last 30 days says about other buyers in this area. What are other buyers doing in this area? And then that is what you're going to go off of, right? Okay, so before we go on to our next talking point, there is a comment I want to close out here. Wow. Okay. Hey, what's up, Nathaniel Mitchell? Thanks for watching. Okay, so let's go to our next point. I've already belabored this point in several other videos. I just want to remind you again. Pre-approvals. There is no reason why you should not be pre-approved right now. And the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval is with a pre-qualification, you go online, you use some type of online lender, and you just give them your social security number and what your income is, and then they check your credit and they say, okay, great, you are approved for this much. But in every one of those scenarios, the lender states on that little letter they gave you, we have not verified anything. Nothing is certain. Don't trust this piece of paper. That's pre-qualified. Pre-approved is what happens when you submit all of your documents to the lender, all of your documents, right? Your tax returns for the last 2 years, bank statements, proof of employment, everything that the lender is requesting, you submit to them. And then they say, okay, great. The only thing that this buyer needs, because they're pre-approved, is to find a house, a home of choice. When you get these pre-approval letters, usually you're able to close a little bit quicker. That's not really the real reason why you're getting the letter, right? Because in this market, I think I should probably talk about this. Let's talk about this. All right. So in this market right now, we're in March, right? You're watching this in March. Hello. How are you doing? If you are watching right now, it's a great time to pause. Let me know in the comment section that you're here. Hopefully you're enjoying this show, this little impromptu show. But let's talk about what the market is doing right now, right? So we're in March, April, May, June, July, right? So let's call that July, right? So this is what's happening right now in the market. We're seeing a ton of houses right now come on in March, right? To come on in March to close in April, right? So this is the first closing. But in almost every scenario that I've seen thus far, except if a house is vacant, and you can sometimes determine if a house is vacant if there's no furniture in the pictures, or if the staging just looks too perfect, right? Otherwise, houses are coming on in March, and then the seller is actually asking for a rent back of 2 months. That's right. So the seller doesn't really want to move quickly. They don't want to move quickly. So what they would prefer is almost 90 days in the property. 90 days. So you're not going to even move into the property very quickly. So that's why I mentioned the pre-approval process will allow you to expedite the transaction or speed up the transaction, but sellers aren't really interested in that. That's not the interest right now, because a lot of people who are selling right now, if they have school-aged kids, they can't move right now anyway, right? Their kids are in school. They're going to finish out the school year in the property, and that's why we see the most number of transactions or the most number of listings come on in the springtime as people are preparing for their summer moves, right? So just keep that in mind. 30-day closings, 60-day rent backs are super common right now. So if you're thinking about buying a property right now, the earliest you'll probably move into the property is mid-June if you close today, but you really should be thinking about July timeframe. All right, so that's that, right? So pre-approved, you want to be pre-approved because you want to state to the seller or the listing agent, right, who's communicating your offer to the seller, hey, look, I've jumped through all the hoops that are necessary to make myself a legitimate buyer, right? The piece of paper that I'm providing you with a pre-approval letter is a legitimate piece of paper. This is why you don't want to be pre-qualified right now. This is not the market to be pre-qualified. When inventory picks up, when sellers are offering closing cost assistance and seller subsidies and vacation trips, that's the time we can shop with pre-qualification letters. Sure, that may happen in a couple of years. It's not the market today, right? We're in the market of the moment. The market of the moment right now is pre-approval letters all the way, right? I will say I'm a little biased on like what type of lender I would prefer that you use. I prefer that you use somebody local because we here's the thing. Real estate is a very relationship oriented business right now. You on your side of the camera, you see this as maybe you're using some online portal and you're flipping through properties, looking at pictures like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, right? But the listing agent is a human. The listing agent is a human representing another human, which is the seller. Since this is a relationship oriented business and we don't have, it's not like a stock that's being traded, we need to put these little personal touches into our offer process. So one of the things that we do on our end, and I'm not making it sound like we're special. A lot of agents do this. It's a common strategy. But one of the things we do is we make sure that our lender partner who has the pre-approval for our buyer client reaches out to the listing agent to let them know, right, to give them more or less a vote of confidence that the client is solid. This is a solid client. You're not going to have any problems with the client. And also, by the way, you could also reach out to me, right? This is my contact information. This is what we do for every offer. Yes, it becomes a little exhausting when you represent several clients like we are, but this is just a proven strategy. It's a proven successful strategy. You want to stack the deck in your hand right now, right? If you saw those numbers at the beginning, right? You saw those numbers. If you're paying $50,000 over asking price, or if the average is $50,000 over asking price, that means that there's several people in the market right now with a lot of money, right? $50,000 over asking is the one that won on average. What about the losers? What about the people who only have 45,000, 40,000? You see what I'm saying? Like this is a competitive market, right? 66% of all homes right now in Northern Virginia are selling over the asking price, right? So you gotta do everything you can to stack the deck in your favor, right? Whatever that is. So pre-approval isn't necessary. Let's talk about one more thing. Proof of funds. Proof of funds for your earnest money deposit. And right. So there's really two pieces of currency that you're going to be, I guess, displaying to the seller in your offer, right? So you have the earnest money deposit, which is something very common. You probably already are familiar with, where you put an offer on a property and you're putting an earnest money deposit down of like 1% of the asking price, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, right? It's a refundable deposit that if the property doesn't meet a certain criteria, then you'll receive that funds back. If the house isn't appraised, if you don't get your financing, if it doesn't meet the inspection, if it doesn't pass inspection, that's earnest money deposit. There is a second thing, which is the appraisal gap, right? So what the appraisal gap is just there's no document for it, so you have to actually input this into your offer. This is saying that let's say that we have this line right here. We have the list price here. We have your offer price here, right? So this is what you offer. This is your offer. This is what the seller has the property listed for, right? Seller, buyer, right? What happens if the property appraises for here, right? What happened to the property appraises for here? So let's say that this is a $600K list price. You offer $670,000, but then what happens if the property only appraises for $630,000, right? Great. It's a common scenario. So if you have an offer that you place on a property where you actually have an appraisal gap, right? Appraisal gap, then you're saying that you're going to cover some portion of this gap in this particular offer. Now, I know what you're thinking, and this is a common thought. You're probably thinking to yourself, Abraham, why would I pay over the appraised value for the property? Like, isn't the appraisal stating what the property is worth? I don't, possibly, possibly. You got to keep in mind, appraisals are using the old school method of valuing properties, right? Appraisals are looking back in time, right? So an appraisal looks back in time, right? So this is today, and this is the future, right? So appraisals look back. When you make an offer on a property that's for over the asking price here, so when you have the list price here, and you make an offer for the over the asking price of $70,000 over asking price, you're betting on the future, right? So you see, this is how prices increase in these markets rapidly. People start to bet on the future, and so if you're betting on the future, then the appraisal, and even for your perspective, doesn't really matter because you believe that the houses will be more valuable in the future, or this particular property, right? So the appraisal gap is in almost all of our offers right now, to be honest with you. um I don't really see a way, around it, because in the old days, I'll give you an example. So in the old days, what we used to do, and we were slick back then, because most, we didn't have all these YouTube channels, and you could information wasn't as readily available. So what we used to do in the old days is we would just make an offer on a property with an appraisal contingency, knowing that we were going to cancel the deal if the property did not appraise, right? If we would only buy it for whatever the appraised value was. That's what you could do in the buyer's market. I've been in the game for 13 years. When I first started in 2008, all the way up until like 2014, right? It was a buyer's market. So you could do all kind of antics to secure or win properties. This is a seller's market. You can't do those type of things, right? And so sellers now know the appraisal means nothing, because if I can get and this is what you see in a lot of these competitive offer situations, people are really negotiating with their appraisal gaps. So you're trying to figure out who will provide the largest appraisal gap in your offer. You need to know that, right? You need to know that. And so with the appraisal gap, the reason why I say proof of funds, you need to have proof of funds that show, okay, great. Not only can I pay my earnest money deposit, but I can also pay the gap between the appraised value and whatever I state I would pay above the asking price, right? So in this scenario here, let's say that you have a $20,000 appraisal gap. So what you want to do is you want to have earnest money deposit submitted with your offer that shows your earnest money deposit and that extra $20,000 in your bank account, because now the seller knows when they look at this offer, they'll say, okay, great. If it doesn't appraise, and the listing agent will most great listing agents, and a lot of our agents in this area are really good. Most agents are going to prepare their client for the fact that there will be an appraisal short, right? It's not going to appraise all the way. So we'll only get X amount of dollars anyway, right? So they'll most likely already have like a value in their mind as far as the appraised value. And to be honest with you, a lot of times when you see properties that are withholding for to review offers on Monday or Tuesday after being on the market on Thursday, it's not that they haven't received a better offer or a great offer. It's really they're looking for somebody who's going to remove all contingencies and say they'll pay whatever. They'll remove the appraisal contingency too, right? That appraisal contingency is super important, and it protects most people from emptying their bank account to buy these properties. So back to this example, you're telling the seller, okay, great, the property appraises at 630, so I will buy my real strike point. My real strike point is going to be 650 in this example, right? So you're looking at a 650 sales price. That's going to be your true sales price, even though the contract says 670 with your appraisal gap clause, right? So showing this as a proof of funds is going to be super important to you. It's going to help you to win more offers, or at least get to like the stage. To be honest with you, winning the offer isn't your first hurdle. Your first hurdle is actually get the listing agent to take your offer serious. when you're in a situation where there's 10, 15, 20, 30, I think the most offers I've ever seen this year were like 35 offers. When you're in an offer situation of 35 offers, I mean, if you have an inspection contingency, appraisal contingency, financing contingency, also your offer escalates versus just being a super aggressive offer. You don't have any proof of funds. You're using an inferior lending product, or using like an online lender that has a bad representation, a reputation in the local community. Then they're not going to take your offer serious, and you're not going to get a call back. You want to get the listing agent to at least call your agent, or reach out to your agent and try to verbally start negotiating on an offer. That's another thing too about this market. This market is so seller heavy, seller focused. It's such a strong seller's market that we're not even getting written counter offers right now. We're getting verbal counter offers because the seller is trying to reserve the right for somebody to swoop in at the last minute and make an insane offer, right? That's just this market. I know what you're thinking. Like we started this off with, what can I do? What can I do? You can only do, what's in your control. A lot of this stuff isn't going to be in your control. You have to make peace with the fact that maybe you don't have enough money saved to compete with some of these clients. I mean, some of these buyers. Maybe this isn't going to be your time. I don't know. Right. Like I said, buying a home it's not a right. It's a privilege. Northern Virginia real estate market, we have some of the highest concentration of individuals with advanced degrees. So that also means that while this is a more liberal area, a lot of these individuals here are conservative, right? Because they've stayed in school longer. They've made preparations for their lives. It's one of those scenarios where, it's a stressful market for everybody, right? Not just the buyer clients, the seller clients as well. Our seller clients are in a pickle too, because now our sellers are afraid to sell because they don't know if they're going to be able to buy something themselves. And so now you have this lower inventory, right? It's stressful, I know, but if you could just keep your head in the game, right? Just think of this as a video game. Now, I know some people don't like when I talk about buying houses, like from a game perspective, because it is a sensitive topic. It's emotional, right? A lot of marketing has been put into, your dream home and home ownership and all the other stuff. That's cool and all. But right now, people are paying $50,000 over asking price in Arlington and Fairfax County, $29,000 over asking price in Prince William County. 66% of all homes are being sold over the asking price, right? This is a game. You're going to lose a few. So let's make sure that we stack the deck in your favor, right? If you don't have any money, or if you don't have enough money, or if you're just not interested. We've had a couple clients who have healthy investment portfolios or healthy savings. They're like, Abraham, I'm not about to spend $75,000 above asking price or $75,000 in additional cash to buy a property. Cool. You want a couple strategies? 8-day strategy. Start looking at properties that have been on the market for at least that first weekend. If they make it out that first weekend, pounce. That's my pounce sign, right? Pounce on those properties. You should be able to secure those at the asking price, right? You want to strike quickly because agents already know if they can make it into that second weekend, they could potentially still get multiple offers if they make it into the next weekend, right? You want to change the way you look at comparables as well. You want to use the new school method of looking at comparables. Last 30 days, properties around the subject properties around the property you're interested in. You want to get pre-approved and then have proof of funds. All right, I want to answer a couple questions. Nathaniel has, let's see. All right, so Nathaniel says, I'm surprised rents aren't shooting through the roof. Oh, excellent, Nathaniel. There's a reason why, rent in Northern Virginia is actually quite reasonable. given how much properties cost. So the main reason why rents, there's almost like this ceiling for rent, right? There's like this invisible ceiling that rents just can't break through, right? So this is rent. And in other markets, rent can like increase drastically during these sellers market. Like in, I mean, you're seeing this in Florida right now, in Texas right now, some of those hot markets, even Arizona as well. Like they're like the landlords are able to increase rent. The reason why you will not, and this is my prediction, you will not see steep rent increases in our market is because of BAHs, right? The BAHs save this market. So this is what the military, this is called, I think it's called base allowance housing, something. The acronym stands for something, but it's what the military actually pays their or allots their service members to pay for housing. Because that is just a set amount, landlords already know that you can't really expect that a member of the military is going to pay more than that BAH number. And we have a large military population, right? We have Fort Belvoir and the larger bases here are Fort Belvoir in the southern part of Fairfax County. And then we have the Pentagon, which is like one of the largest commercial spaces in the world, right? Those two bases, they're just going to keep downward pressure on the rent prices, right? So even though we've had 20% increase in the average sales price in the Northern Virginia area, the BAHs haven't caught up to that, right? And so once we see the BAHs increase, then we're going to see the rental prices increase. But to be honest with you, a lot of the landlords that are here, they're not really I mean, they would love to cash flow, but most people with investment properties here are not really playing the cash flow game. You can't play the cash flow game, right? Because if you have a $700,000 townhouse, right, and you have a $3,500 mortgage on that townhouse, plus with the HOA fee, I mean, you still are only demanding. You could still only command maybe $3,000, $3,200 for that. So you're really not breaking even in this particular market. It's a strange market, right? But that's what that's what happens when such a large percentage of your rental base is members of the military, and then they have those BAHs. I'm telling you, everybody should be super thankful if you're renting right now. You should thank any service member for being located here because the BAHs save the day. All right, if y'all have any other questions, I'll stay on for maybe like 5 or so minutes. This was a great session. I believe I had fun. I always enjoy just kind of talk about what's going on. I think Nathaniel was thinking we were going over the rent back. No, not the rent back. I think the appraisal gap is when Nathaniel's came through and makes sense. Yeah. So we're talking about the appraisal gap. And so for the new people, I know there's a couple people here that have just joined us. This video is really just talking about like the state of the market right now. What are some strategies that you can use with 66% of homes selling over the asking price? It's tough out there. And when just imagine, I just want to be in a room one day with somebody, with a buyer client who says, what, Abraham, I want to really win this property. I really want to win this property. What do you think about me offering $700,000 over the asking price? That would just blow my mind. Like I can't wrap my head around somebody making that type of bet, right? That's almost $750,000 that someone just casually gave to a seller in this market. And you know what really sucks about this? Don't get me wrong. Congratulations to that buyer. What sucks about this is that the seller who was in that transaction is going to be telling everyone. And then that's going to just continue this feeding frenzy of a market. This is just, it's just that, it's like I said, it's a little stressful right now. But what else would you be doing, right? Something else that's stressful. Great video. Thanks for the information. My pleasure, Nathaniel. My pleasure. I hope you have good luck in this particular market if you're in it. Also, if you are looking for a great real estate agent, I know a guy. You happen to be talking to him. There's a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Click on that link, fill out the survey, and then we'll schedule a time to meet via Zoom, answer all your questions about the real estate market. Would love to chop it up with you, find out if we can assist you, what we can do to assist you, and then go on to the next step. So what do y'all think? Love to get some feedback. It's interesting doing these live streams because you're really kind of just talking to yourself, but then you have to wait for a chat to come through to know that someone else is listening. So, you know what? While we're here, like I said, I'll be here for like 3 more minutes. While we're here, make sure you check out the Cherry Blossoms Tidal Basin if you're already here. If you're already here, check out the Cherry Blossoms Tidal Basin. Tomorrow is going to be crazy busy out there. So I highly suggest, if you're a morning person or not, try to get out there around 6:30, 6:15 in the morning. You'll be able to drive right up to the Tidal Basin, get out your car, witness the cherry blossoms, watch the sunrise, and then get in your car and go on about your day, right? You can knock it out in an hour, or you could deal with the insane traffic that they will have tomorrow because it's going to be bonkers. Also, I believe that tomorrow's going to be a beautiful day as well. Traffic is going to be insane, but you got to get out there. You got to get out there and see it. We have a video on our channel with the cherry blossom walking around the Tidal Basin, and it's cool. It's nice, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. It's not the same. So what do y'all think? Am I wrong? Am I right? What do you think? What do you think? The 8-day strategy? Have you heard about the 8-day strategy? Waiting until the property comes on the market or has stayed on the market for a little while. Some people call these stale listings. You want to caution yourself if you do use the 8-day strategy not to do this. If I know some of my clients watch my live streams, so I'm talking to you as well. Do not do this to yourself where you start to say, what's wrong with the property? Is something wrong with the property that it didn't sell in that first weekend? No, that's not the case, right? It just is what it is, right? Like most people are going after really attractive properties on the first weekend, right? Sometimes we'll put in 3 offers for one client. Oh, you know what? That'd be a great video. I should do a video about that. How to put in multiple offers. It's a little gray area-ish. So I don't know if I should be saying that on the internet. Okay, we'll think about it. But yeah, so if you're putting in multiple offers on your A1 properties, sometimes that's exhausting, right? Like don't get me wrong, most people are just signing stuff electronically, so it takes like 5 minutes, because most people are not reading, yada yada yada. But this 8-day strategy, I think, I've seen a couple properties slip through my clients' hands because they either turn off their notifications through the MLS, or they're a little worn down, and then the property slips through on Wednesday, right? It's not under contract on Wednesday, and then they miss it, and then there's like 3 offers on Saturday, right? There's a great opportunity to snatch up a property on 8-day, right? On that 8th day before that second weekend. Sarah says cherry blossoms are worth seeing for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I think it's something you see once, right? Don't get me wrong. You don't need to go, you don't need to go multiple times. The trees look the same, but especially if you can go in the morning when that sun is rising, there's something about that golden sun hitting those white flowers with that reflection with the Jefferson Memorial in the background. Oh, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Any other questions? Ask me anything. Yeah, we don't really do too many live streams this late at night. But I know that people are up on YouTube at this time. Well, I think that's it. If you go rewatch this live stream, let me know if you have any questions down below. My name is Abraham Walker. This is Where to Live in Northern Virginia. I hope that this video helps you to, feel, I guess, a little bit more confident about what you're going to be doing in this market. Yeah. Oscar, let's see. Oh yeah, 22. Yeah. If 2021 was a bad market, 2022 just, I mean, you just can't compare 2022. There was actually in one of my videos, I think 3 days, maybe 3 or 4 videos ago, I did the Arlington market, and the numbers support the fact that buyers are actually learning and they're evolving in real time. So I think that people in February of this past month, buyers actually doubled the amount of money that they were paying on average over the asking price. So what this means is that as this market continues, people are just going to get smart. They're just going to continue to wisen up, and humans love to take advantage of patterns, right? And so there's a pattern right now in the market, right? So I need to offer X over asking price. I really don't, don't get me wrong. This is risky. A lot of stuff we're talking about there is a level of risk to this, but making offers on properties in their coming soon phase, I think is a risky strategy, right? And I, if you'd talked to me 2 years ago, I would have said that I would have been so against it. But making offers in the coming soon phase, we're seeing so many listings don't even make it to the market. They're getting offers while they're in the coming soon phase. And so one of the strategies I know agents are using right now is they put the property on coming soon with only one exterior photo, right? 3 to 4 days before it's supposed to go live. So, properties go live on Thursdays usually. They'll put the interior photos of the property, right? So they already have the interior photos. They just haven't put them up. They put the interior photos up, and then before it actually goes live, they already have an offer. Sometimes they have a bidding war in the coming soon phase. It's insane. I know it's risky. These people, and I just want to let you know, a lot of people think that, oh, you know what, they must have got into the property, like somebody must have done something fishy. No, people are just super comfortable with the risk associated with, if you're willing to spend $75,000, $100,000 over asking price, then there's really not much that could really be wrong with the property in the interior that you can't fix, right? You already have a lot of cash. So it's exciting time to be in real estate right now. I gotta be honest with you, because I didn't start real estate until 2008. So this type of crazy market was already over by the time I got in. So when I came in, it was challenging from the perspective of, we were dealing with short sales, foreclosures, right? You'd be sitting at the kitchen table with somebody talking about their home, and then they'll be crying to you because they're about to lose their home. They're about to have a foreclosure on their record. So that was a traumatizing time, or traumatic time as well. And now this market is, in my opinion, this market is like that market in the sense that buyers are now those traumatized individuals, right? Because if you're making, let's see, how many offers I think the most offers we've ever made with one client was maybe like 12, right? Like if you're making 12 offers, every offer you put in, it's a little emotionally draining, because you have this hope built into every offer, right? Like you sign, and there is a chance that this could be the one, and then you hear back on Tuesday or Monday that you didn't get it, and then you do that 12 times. It could wear on you, right? And then also I think that the real estate is marketed to individuals from a perspective of, if you don't own a home, you're a loser, right? That's kind of how real estate is marketed to people, right? Like it's the American dream. So if you're not living the American dream, you're living a nightmare, right? That's it's tough to get through or get past that perception of real estate. And so now people are doing things to live the American dream, to live their dream. Their dream is tied to the American dream, right? So So yeah, you're right. It is crazy. I I have no idea if this market is crazy like this. Just imagine 2023 if the market just stays this way. I mean, houses aren't coming on the market, so that means that there are people who want to move. They just can't move. They're just going to move later, and it's I just we're not even think about this. I know I'm blabbering right now, and I apologize. Just think about this. We're not even in the spring market yet. This is not spring yet. We're still in the early days of the spring market. I can't imagine what's going to happen mid-April, early May. Oh my God, it's going to be horrendous. That's why we told our clients at the beginning of the year when we started to see this trend happen, when we started to see some of the offers come through. Hey, look, you're not going to be able to wait. Like you're not going to be able to wait. That's for the individuals who are trying to do like a early summer move, right? I do believe, and I'll just put this out here right now so it could be on the internet. I do believe that there will be a little bit of a lull, and I'll explain what I mean. There will be a little bit of a lull right after June, right? So if you think about how our market works, so it's cyclical, right? So it's like this the cyclical, it's a cycle. Let me get this comment off. So it's a cycle, right? So we have properties coming on the market, properties coming off the market, properties coming on the market, properties coming on the market, right? So if you think about it, the blue line is going to be listings coming on the market, right? So these are listings, right? The red line is going to be sales. So sales always lag behind the market, right? I think that, and this is what we just see in the data. This is just what the data shows. I think we're going to see a slight dip, or not even a dip, just maybe like a leveling off in like June, July timeframe, right? So like in the summer months, we usually see something where people start the process of going on vacations. They've been shopping in the summertime so long that they just get exhausted, and so then they just need a break, right? And so it may only last a few weeks, but this will be prime time to pounce on the market, and then we'll see that market pick back up again right when kids go to school in the fall. And then we should see if this is like a normal market in the sense that it's cyclical. So not, you're not going to see any discounts or any lower sales volume, but we should also see a slight dip, a slight leveling off right in like that late early October time frame, late September, early October as well. So those are 2 times of the year that you should be ready. I think it'll be prime buying time. We're preparing our clients for it. Okay, we have one more comment, and then I got to go watch some TV with my boys. All right, maybe interest rate hikes will settle this hot market down. I don't think so. And the reason why I don't think so is if you're already paying, right? So what do we have here? Let's see. If you're already in Alexandria, Arlington, Fairfax County, Prince William County, you're already paying over asking price, right? So you already have more money to put into the pot. People are just going to make a calculation that, okay, great. So if I was going to put $50,000 down, I only expect to stay in the house for 10 years. Interest rate hike has increased my mortgage payment by, say, $300. Okay, so that's $3,600. Like I think that people will just make the calculation, and then they'll make the adjustment. So I don't think that there's really not enough inventory for the interest rate hike to be that significant of a transformation in the market, especially when you consider that we're really just at what interest rates from 2019, right? So is it higher than last year? Sure, yeah, but it's really not. I mean, we're still selling houses in 2019, so I don't think the interest rate hike is going to be that big of a deal for us. Okay, thank you all so much for joining me again. My name is Abraham Walker. If you're ready to start the home buying process, there's a link in the description. Click the link to the Perfect Home Questionnaire, fill out that survey, and then we'll schedule time to meet via Zoom. I'll answer all your questions, and we'll be laughing just like this lovely couple here. And then we can jump into this market. If you have any questions for me or comments down below, I'll respond to them after the show is over. Check out the live stream if you're just joining us. I think it's some useful information, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.